Hi guys and welcome on my new video how to make metal in FL Studio, and today I wanna make something like Mick Gordon, I mean about the Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal, so let's go. And first of all I wanna tell you about all the instruments that I use to make this sound. Let's start from the bass. For the bass I use the implement array with the default preset without any adjustment here. And in the mixer I use the glue with the guitar bass gentle dynamics. You can find it in the preset guitar bass and gentle dynamics. After that I use the OTT with 17% of depth. Of course the fruity parametric equalizer to reduce all the noises that I don't wanna hear when my bass playing. And of course the Sus 2 with the melodic bass control preset. You can find it in the bass and here. So just listen how a bass sound without my VSTs and with. It's a huge difference. So let's go to other instrument. We go into the drums, and for drums I use the Easy Drummer with a preset drum kit from Hell Tape, and I also make the all plates a little bit not so loud. I mean about these two plates. And on the VSTs I use the glue with a preset drum, full parallel high pass. In the equalizer I also cut all the sounds that I really don't want to listen when my drums is playing, so just listen how it sounds. It's quite another sound. So, and about the Sus 2 I use the drums and hi-hat remover. And we can really hear the big difference. So, what about the guitar? For guitar I use the Contact 5, it's a Swedish 3 Hydra with a preset Hydra Modern Metal 1, you can find it right here. And what about the adjustments? Maybe it's not so lots of adjustments, the pick and mod alternate, the most is reckoned with first and the third guitar, no bite, no pick attack. And what about the advance? I just off all of these release time windows and a little bit add the up and down stroke offset. So what about the VSTs, the glue? The guitar electric the same, you can find it here. The OTT with 26% of depth. The fruity parametric where I just cut all not so good frequencies. The another fruity parametric equalizer too, where I just cut the sub, the bass and a little bit of low mid and mid with the sounds that really little bit hurt your ears. And also the Sus 2 with the tin in the guitar. You can find it in electric guitar and tin in the guitar. And what about this fruity limiter? I use it to make the sidechain. You can find that my guitar just go into the synth pad, lead and choir. I just click the right mouse button and sidechain to this track. And on all these other instruments we can find also fruity limiter with the comp, sidechain 1 and the guitar and with the right adjustments. So, and let's listen how our guitar sound with VSTs and without. And with. It's a really big difference. So what about the synth pad? For synth pad I use the Dune 3 with a dreamy notch Trin MK. And let's listen how it sounds. So for this sound I use the glue, guitar bass gentle dynamics. Just don't ask me why I use it, but it's really good decision to use it. So OTT 44% of depth. The fruity parametric with cut in all these frequencies. Just listen how it sounds without and with. It's really huge difference. And I hope you hear it. If you don't hear it, use good headphones. So, and what about the Sus 2 harsh synth? You can find it in the synth and harsh synth. And fruity limiter, I told it before, just the comp, sidechain, guitar, and you need to turn these three knobs and attack and release. What about the synth lead? I use also the 3 but Fat 3 OCT, so when it sounds something like without. and this. So, the glue, strings, smooth strings. You can find it here. What about the OTT in the 38% of depth? Fruity parametric, I also cut all these frequencies. Sus 2, we use the synth mid clean up, also in the synth, and synth mid clean up. And fruity limiter with the sidechain and all these adjustments. So let's go to the choir. For choir, I use the citrus and the preset choir, this one. So and listen how it sounds. Without and with. So the glue, I use the vocal lead air on the front, vocal lead air on the front. OTT 43% of depth. Parametric equalizer also cut all these frequencies. Sus 2 female vocals full range, you can find it in the vocals, and here the female vocals full range. And fruity limiter also turn these knobs. And what about the stereo separation? What about the volume level? So the bass in the mono, and all these synths also in the mono. The synth pad I a little bit turned it in the left ear and the choir in the right ear. And what about all these volume levels? The guitar is the main instrument. The drums playing with the same sound as the guitar. So I a little bit down it. Bass played in the half of a guitar. And all this pad, lead and choir just playing on the background, not to make a lot of madness. So that's all about the mixing instruments. Let's go to the master. For master I use the glue, mastering add sustain, you can find it in the preset, mastering and add sustain. Fresh air with not so big adjustments, 9% of mid air and 11% of high air. The OTT 13% of that. Equalizer I just cut not so good frequencies, I just cut all this sub, I just cut a little bit of bass, low mid and high mid to remove some harshness and mudding, and I just little bit down the treble. What about the Sus 2? It's the main Sus 2 presets that I used on the master, maybe each time I using it. So master, and you can find the side reso fix, it's really important. Fruity soft clipper to make it not so hard your ears. I a little bit down it so it sounds not so loud. And also I use the tonal balance control 2 to understand that my sound sounds in a proper way. So you can find that all my sounds in the area, so we can find and see this too. That's really good. It's very important if you don't wanna use your ears to understand that your sound sounds good or not. You can use this tonal balance control too. And what about the fruity parametric equalizer? I use it to make some automatization, to make this intro. I mean about this one. And this break. It's not so hard, you just adding it on the master, you just click on the preset, maybe this one, and click the right mouse button on this one. You just create automation clip, and after that you making everything you want. And that's all about mixing and mastering. And let's go to the structure of the song. So we start from the intro, and I use the pad on this note D5, and it just sounds in the opening. After that I add the choir, also not so hard, I just make this D4, C sharp 4, D4 and D4, and just Control left mouse button, Control C, Control V, and just up and down it on the same nose but little bit lower or higher, and make such sound. After that I add the bass, drums and guitar. I mean about it sounds the same as in the main riff. So let's listen how sounds a bass in the main riff of a song. I also use the tools randomize to make it little bit different in velocity, to make it little bit like it playing by a real human. So it's not so hard riff. What about the drums? It sounds in such way. So if you wanna get this project, I mean about the FLP, you can go to my Patreon and find it there. And also you can just support me and I will be very happy and will continue making my videos. So, and what about the guitar? The guitar the same as the bass, but with a little bit of the adjustments. So I little bit change the velocity, just listen. So it's not so hard. The open notes we use a little bit high velocity, and for the palm mutes I use the little bit lower velocity. And also I made this automatization, so I equalize it to just up a sound and making some intro. After that I cut all the instruments and only the drums will play. So, in this part, the choir and the pad continue playing and all the instruments also continue playing, but adding the synth lead. And what about the synth lead? Is a D8, C sharp 8 and D8, just listen. So, nothing difficult, but it sounds just like a Mick Doom song. Listen. And after that, there are some little bit of difference. So I add another guitar, another riff, just listen how it sounds. It's playing on the one note, but with the open string and the palm mute, so. What about the bass? It's playing the same thing. And the drums just playing the same beat that they play in the full song. So, and it sounds something like that. And after that just adding the pads that played before. After that I off all the instruments and leave only the guitar for this break. And after that just playing the main riff that played in the beginning. So listen. And that's all. It's nothing difficult. It's nothing difficult in mixing, it's nothing difficult in mastering, and it's nothing difficult in the structure of the songs and all the patterns that playing by my instruments. So I repeat, if you wanna get this FLP, you go into my Patreon and find it here. And Absoyed was with you, just like, subscribe, leave your comment, and I see you soon in the next video. Goodbye.